Hello, welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday. Pleased to be here sharing with you the great wisdom of the teachings of yoga. So let me just check my settings and we're all ready to go. And I'm going to hop straight in today. And this live today, or this Wisdom Wednesday teachings, is what I feel that all yoga teachers and students need to know about prana. Prana and the sacred stream of the breath. You know, most of us are practicing yoga and we're practicing the physical asanas of yoga and we're refining them constantly. We're refining, do I turn my foot in? Am I internally rotating? Am I externally rotating? Are my feet not? And we're trying to align the physical body, which is fabulous. But once we've started to work with that alignment and we're starting to understand that alignment, then we really need to start to look at the physical body, but just below that, the subtle body and a more subtle level of our practice. So how we refine the postures, we then start to refine the subtle body as well. And so what you need to know about prana and the sacred stream of the breath. I'd really like to see the prana and the sacred stream of the breath as like the next step beyond the physical. And if you're willing to open yourself to this subtle body and start to familiarize yourself with these principles, honestly, your practice will go from something that you do to something that is more becoming and something that really does start to support your life. So let's look at the principles of prana. And to do that, we're going to start with something we already do. I love to do that. Always start with something you know, something you feel comfortable with, and something you're pretty grounded with. So first of all, let's just look at pranayama for a beginning. So we have asana over here, the postures, and then we have pranayama over here. Moving from the physical to the more subtle. And commonly, pranayama is classed, it just gets classed as breath control. And it sort of sounds like it would be correct because we know that in pranayama, we are working with the breath. But as with all Sanskrit words, this doesn't really convey its full meaning. So let's just have a quick look at pranayama. What does that actually mean? And we're going to do that. We're going to split the words up into two. Prana and ayama. Prana, the vital energy or life force. And this is the force which exists in all things, whether they're animate or inanimate. Yeah, everything it has prana. So think about the plants, the trees, your pets, the dogs, the animal life, you. And everything that is living is infused with prana. Prana in our physical being is very closely related to the air that we breathe. It's more subtle than the breath. It is really that sacred stream of breath. So you have oxygen and the sacred stream of prana running side by side. And then we come to the word ayama. Ayama means extension or expansion. So pranayama is how we regulate or how we activate our inner life force. How we go beyond the normal boundaries of our physical limitations. And pranayama means to attain this state of vibratory energy. So pranayama is this expansion of life force. And we do that through a practice of pranayama. And pranayama utilizes the breath to influence the flow of prana through the channels in the body. In yoga, we call those channels nadi. And Chinese medicine, you probably have heard of them more of meridians. But we're really talking about the same thing. So pranayama is therefore that extension or expansion of prana. So why would I you or any of your students be interested in pranayama? It's probably a word they don't even know. And pranayama really nowadays in modern day yoga is not always present. So it's reviving this depth of practice past just the physical body. So why should we do it? So breath and health go basically hand in hand for the physical body. Think about breathing, our respiratory system. It's the most vital process in the body. Every single cell needs oxygen to remain alive. How you breathe and your brain function or brain performance is intimately linked. On average, most of us breathe about 15 breaths a minute, 21,600 times a day. Yeah, so there's a lot of breathing going on. But what does your respiratory system actually do? When you breathe, your respiratory system mixes oxygen and glucose to produce energy. And your body needs energy for every muscular contraction, every glandular secretion, every mental process, every blink of my eye needs our respiratory system. And like I said, most of us only really draw in breath in a very, very small part of our lungs. Most of us are stressed out. And then when we're stressed and anxious and busy and not present, we end up shallow breathing really shallow in the chest. And this deprives our body of oxygen. But it also deprives our body of prana, the essential life force. And it's essential that we have a well-functioning respiratory system and breathing for our overall health and well-being. And I think that we all are more aware than ever right at the moment, with the viruses and respiratory viruses that we have present in our society. So for me, a number one health benefit or health choice has got to be to breathe deeper. Our breath and our lifespan. The ancient yogis studied nature in detail. You just have to look at the Sanskrit names for the asanas. We have Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, Kumbhasana, turtle. You know, we have a number of yoga postures are named after animals. But what the ancients studied and realized was that the slow breathing creatures, like the elephants, the tortoise, all had long lifespans. But the fast breathers, like the birds, the dogs, the rabbits, only lived a few years. So slow breathing in humans, they therefore believed increased the lifespan. As the sages believed that we were born with so many breaths. And I love it that it comes from, I'm talking to you about the yoga tradition and these stories as they come through the yoga tradition. But very recently, there's been some very detailed research into the breath that really supports exactly, the science is now supporting exactly what the ancients were saying. There's a book out at the moment called Breath, and it's written by James Nestor. And so if you really want to look into the depths of the breath and how as a society we need to change our breathing patterns, then have a read of that book. It's really, really great and very, very informative. So physically, it's great for the body, and it really creates this longer life. And so to me, that's a pretty good reason to suck in a sweet, slow breath, moment by moment. But what is pranayama to the spiritual aspirant? So those of us who have practiced physical yoga know that there's something deeper, but actually are on this path for more of a spiritual practice. So looking for more of a spiritual practice. And so why do spiritual aspirants practice pranayama? because it removes the blockages, the pranic blockages in the body, so that the body can absorb more prana. So we're going back to the nadis. A blockage is created. We use asana, alignment of asana, then we use breath to move those blockages out of the way. Pranayama controls the flow of prana. So therefore, as we control our flow of prana, we can start to slow the mind, start to come into a calmer mind. In yoga, this is called chitta vritti. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, I think it's the second sutra, Patanjali says, he's asked the question, what is yoga? And he says, chitta vritti nirodha. So yoga is stilling these sensations or these amount of thoughts and fluctuations of the mind, stilling. And so pranayama can help us do that. And that stilling brings us closer to being able to observe ourselves, to be able to witness ourselves in the moment. And this has been a skill that we've been working with in the Recharge or Yoga Practice Challenge. Really looking at watching how we feel, where our breath is. Is there any stagnation in our breath? Is our breath hopping or jumping? And really working out where we are so that we know which pranayama to choose, which yoga asana practice to choose, so that we can bring ourselves more into this state of chitta vritti nirodha, stilling of the mind. And when we've cleared those blockages in our prana, this free-flowing prana then opens the doorway into our inner consciousness. And if we really are a dedicated practitioner, that is what we're sort of really looking to try to achieve, is open the pathways to a deeper consciousness. A little bit deeper, meaningful for a Wisdom Wednesday, but there you go. But to lighten the mood, here we go. I am a super lover of yoga stories. So I have a yoga philosophy story for you today about prana. And these philosophy stories are littered within the ancient text, as these stories have a deeper meaning behind them. They're so gorgeous. As with all of these teachings, they're shared generously to help you understand. And this particular story comes from the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the ancient yogic text. And most of the conversations, as with many of the yogic texts, are conversations between student and teacher. So settle in, take a breath. I'm going to come up with you with a story. So for a moment, imagine it's a warm summer's day and you're sitting on the slopes of the Himalayas in a beautiful wildflower meadow. And there on the slopes of the Himalayas, the sense organs, the indriyas, are spouting off to one another and believing in their own self-importance. The eyes are open wide and bright. And they're saying, I'm the most important because without me, you would not be able to see the wonders of the earth, the great sights that bestow this beautiful land. The ears perked up, they were sharp. Oh, but without me, I'm the most important because without me, you wouldn't be able to hear danger approaching. The sweet sound of music playing. You wouldn't be able to hear those things without me. So the ears are definitely the most important. Up pop the nose. Hold on there. I am the most important because without me, you could not smell the sweet, nourishing foods or this beautiful aroma that's coming from the meadow flowers where we lie. Ha ha, said the mouth. Ho ho ho. Oh, no. I'm the most important because without me, the pleasure of tasting those sweet fruits of the earth, you would not be able to experience. So I'm the most important. Lying there, gently flowing quietly flowing freely in the background, there is prana. He overhears the commotion being made from the indriyas and the senses. And he says, do not be lost in delusion. I alone am the great prana. The sense organs laughed at prana. They poo-pooed him. Don't be silly, prana. You just carry on flowing quietly in the background. But prana, understanding and knowing the truth, and knowing that the senses are so vain, he said, I will show you my greatness. He then got up and moved out of the body, showing his strength. And as soon as he did, all of the senses fainted. They stopped functioning, and prana simply smiled. He left them there for a moment, and then prana gently settled back down into the body, and the senses started functioning again. And they were all in agreement that prana was the greatest, as without prana, there is no life within the body and no functioning of the senses. In this story, it says that, just proving that with a joyousness that, through all of the senses, prana is the greatest. And without prana, there is no life. And in this great story, prana says that he divides himself fivefold. So yes, prana divides himself into the Pancha Mahavayus, the 5 great winds, which are the subsets of prana. And those 5 subsets are pran, which is normally within the heart, udan, in the throat region, samana, in the abdomen, vyana, which is all circulating, and apana, which is in the pelvic floor. And each one of these vayus supported with a specific asana, a specific pranayama, a specific food, a specific meditation, a specific mantra, combining those. And then you can start to see how you've got your directional asana practice, you've got your pranayama practice, you've got your mantra practice, your meditation. All of these then start to manage the flow of prana. And so now you can start to see the depth of what is possible in your yoga practice. It's great to start to just hear some of these words, to start to learn some of these concepts within the yoga tradition. As most teachers and practitioners, they'll hear them and intellectualize them, but that is where it ends. They're not embodied into their practice. But I want that for you. I want you to embody these concepts so that you have the ability within your own personal yoga practice to experience, manage, prescribe, and make positive change to manage your prana, to support its continuous flow, so that when you're feeling shattered, anxious, annoyed, you know how to bring yourself back into a place of ease, balance, wellness, and radiance. And this is the Chittavritti Nirodha, this place of yoga, this being yoga really starts to fall in. And I want that for you. It's not difficult, but as long as somebody explains it to you, but more importantly, that somebody guides you into embodying these concepts. And that's why I've created the Radiance Seekers course, which is a 6-week online program that fully supports you to embody the principles of prana, the vayus, and many, many more of these concepts of yoga. Enrollment for this opens in just 2 weeks. So it's super exciting, and I'm excited for you too. The inner wisdom of hearing the calling. That's what I want. Are these concepts that I've been talking about, if you've been into the recharge work, are they calling you? Is there something within you that's, yeah, I need to understand that. I need to have some of that in my life. And if you're hearing that calling, the waitlist is open. I'll pop the link in the comments below. And put your name down, and you're not putting your name down to sign up, but literally so that you will get more information. Some of these teachings that I'm sharing, they'll also be sent out on email to that waitlist. And there will also be a beautiful offering coming out for you shortly there too. So hop in and take your time and your yoga practice from something you're doing to something you're becoming. And I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes on prana. Take a moment to settle with your breath. The Science of Pranayama by Swami Shivananda. There is an intimate connection between the breath, nerve currents, and control of inner prana, or vital forces. Prana becomes visible on the physical plane as motion and action, and on the mental plane as thought. Pranayama is the means by which yogi tries to realize within his individual body the whole cosmic nature, and attempts to attain perfection by attaining all powers of the universe. Now that sounds a whole heap more exciting than doing another triangle pose. So if this is feeling inspiring to you, it's calling to your innate nature, you're feeling the vibe, hop on to the waitlist, get more details so that you can decide if this is for you. Embody your practice, recharge your yoga practice, and hop on to the waitlist below. And I will see you next Wednesday for another Wisdom Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.